Yes, we are back. I am back. I hope without any significant number of dropped frames. That would be good. Hopefully better quality. Let's get back to this. So we're back. And yeah, well, I think we're ready to let the clock go and make an episode here. Well, I'm back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and the Reich is in desperate situations. I know we're on the, I was going to say deep in the Soviet Union. We penetrated in the Soviet Union, and we're not holding there very well. We have 0 manpower in reserve. We are trying to evacuate. Well, these forces are the critical ones, but we are evacuating in many locations here. And we're going to see what we can hold. And hello, Daniel. Yes, I'm making this live. For those new here, they can hit, of course, subscribe. Everyone else, you can just hit that like button. Really do appreciate all of you. I don't know. Where should we send you guys? A lot of heavy flak, not enough infantry. Well, I don't. Headquarters area that we can. Where can we find fighting forces that we can cannibalize to good use? There's a light infantry regiment there. We had been using you as an HQ down there. So let's get out of that. The useful unit. Okay. They've already quickly overrun that. Italy, yes, you can have as much metal as you'd like. There. Hello, Toy Jet. Not well. Yes, because we are not needing any of this reinforcement because we have no manpower to reinforce with. So put all of that building infrastructure things. So we've one down here, very nice. That's 4. Functionally, we will have 1 once we do that. That doesn't mean they can't re-invade, but don't know if how re-invading the allies will be on that. Yeah, they might do okay. Gas pilot training. Alright, I guess that's good. Now they want us, because we have all of this. Oh, manpower of 9. Wanting to do more reinforcement. Oh, that's What will win us the war? What technology could we get that will win the war? Won the battle up here? Yes, okay, good. We want to hold these because of the fortifications. You can't hold the fortifications, well. No. Here, okay, good. We're pulling down there. Out here we're winning an elite commandos advance. Very nice. And again, we no longer need all this extra reinforcement. Upgrades, sure. Wise. I think that is... Yes, okay. That's good, but see, this can help affect a lot of... Do we want to go first? Not... Well, less soft attack, less hard attack, but a lot more defensive. Get us more soft attack. So, well, we'll go with... No, this would be better. Because this is defensiveness 1.2 for most units. I mean, there's some... Well, there's not so big, but we're here, we're just as 0.5. So half point. We've one out here. Good here, I think. Good, good. Hello, Lawless. Hello, Martin. My voice is cracking. I'm probably going to get something for that here in just a second. Here, yes, this province. I was falling back. That dumb. Yeah. I'm going to get a Ricola and something to drink and be right back. So look at the pretty picture for a moment. I will return very quickly. Almost back. Does that mean I'm really back but not prepared? Yeah, more that, I guess. Oh. Hello, Road Manor. How you doing? Will we fight to the bitter end? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Oh, well, glad to have you in the bunker with me, I guess, but I'm not sure. Oh, we are. Damn, had a crash. Shouldn't have been zooming in and out as harsh. I don't know. Fuck. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm up to that. Hello, Arno. Well, actually, what I have here, and it is a fast load, I have it on a old hard drive, but after they became rather cheap, I bought an Optane drive. If you know what that is, it's sort of a pre-caching type drive. So once I've loaded it one time per start, booting up, all subsequent loads load faster. So it's really good. So the first time it's pretty slow, but it's fast to reload. So that is good. I really wish I had that in the early days of modding. Okay, well, if I had nukes, I would nuke Moscow. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit here. 1950. Well, if we're still around in 1950, we're doing a lot better than I expect to be. We should, one way or another, win it before 1950. Win or lose it before 1950. Historically, before I get back to replaying what we just did. Historically, and I know some people don't like some of these talks, but Hitler was a nut job, okay? He just was. And it's quite apparent in a lot of his views. He has a lot of mystical views, and I'm not. Look, I don't have a solid answer on things, so I don't want to, it may come off as if, hello, Sun Tongue, how you doing? Hello, Ikoki. Zero manpower. What's your plan? Lose slowly. That's the current plan. Is lose slowly. But Road Manor was saying, stay by my side in the bunker. Why did Hitler fight to the end? Why did he not try to run and hide? Jumping to Mussolini. I don't think Mussolini was trying to I watched years ago um, a biopic on Mussolini. I've watched multiple documentaries on Mussolini and whatever. And I know more or less the circumstances of Mussolini's death. And if, in case you don't know it, and I know I have a lot of really well-informed viewers, but I also know that I have a lot of this showed up and has been left here. Um, New viewers. Mussolini. Okay, I always keep stepping back and back to tell the full story. Mussolini, of course, is the dictator of Italy. There's a king above him, and below him there's a fascist Grand Council. The fascist Grand Council deposes, removes Mussolini from power, and he's immediately arrested and put in comfortable holding. Talking about the end of regimes in World War II here for the moment. And there's a lot of German units all over Italy at the time. And the Italians are rather worried about what the Germans are going to do, or what Mussolini loyalists, because the fascist Grand Council votes, the majority vote to remove him from power. And that's because, not that they didn't like fascism, because they were fascists, it's because Mussolini has so bungled the war and has not been able to deal with how to get Italy out of the war, if you will. So they remove him. Of course, Otto Skorzeny finds Mussolini. Well, there's several intelligence operations going in. They find Mussolini. Now, there's one, talking about spiritualism. There's one that was set up that was specifically trying to divine or douse or whatever where he was. The SS were, had guys in a room in Germany somewhere trying to, get. And my dad strongly believes in dowsing, so and I've seen enough to know that I don't know that it's all a bunch of don't know. I don't know that it's all just a bunch of hooey or nonsense, but I also think that people overthink or think these are overly effective or real or whatever. But so whatever. But so they find out where he is. They rescue him and take Mussolini back to Europe. Or not to Europe, back to Germany. And then eventually, because Germany is occupying sort of the northern half of Italy at the time, send Mussolini back to set up the Italian Social Republic. Again, if you want to claim that, fascism isn't socialism, what does Mussolini do? Set up the Italian Social Republic, a socialist republic. Not a Marxist republic, but a socialist republic. And it's very much of a puppet state of Germany at that point. I don't know why many of the Italians that fight for him continue to fight for Mussolini, and particularly Decima X, which was an elite naval commando unit. I don't know why they continue to fight. What are they trying to achieve in continuing to fight for Mussolini, whose own fascist Grand Council has deposed him? And it doesn't, to me, look like there's going, now, maybe they thought, oh, well, the war is about ready to turn the tides on the Allies, and we're going to retake Rome, and we're going to push the Americans out of Italy, and Germany's going to release its super duper tigers, and they're going to charge to Moscow, and realize a lot of this is going after Rome has fallen. And remember, Rome falls, what is it, the day or 2 days before D-Day. So D-Day's happened. And, you know, maybe in the early first couple of weeks, it might be, are the Germans going to be able to push them back into the sea or not? You know, that might still be a bit of a question on people's minds. But really? Okay. So why do they keep fighting? Maybe they think there's, you know, a light at the end of the tunnel, that things are going to change. Maybe they thought there was no other option. I don't know. But they keep fighting for it. Fair number of them. This unit here, the 29th, and I think it gets they use another 29th division disappears or something. I forget. Probably shouldn't talk about things I don't remember. Waffen Grenadier Division der SS. So it is not an SS division, but it's a division of the SS. A distinction there. Meaning that it is, I guess the best distinction is it's not considered an Aryan SS division by German SS logic. When you have der SS versus, let's find one out here. I think there's one. It's SS Police Division, which is sort of a weird. Here, so see here, it would be SS Panzer Division Das Reich. This would be a German. You also see that they use the SS for some of the Scandinavian units. So what Hitler thought? Yeah, we're going to get back to Hitler in a minute and his end. So Mussolini cooperates. I don't know why he does. Because to me, it's just prolonging the agony of your nation, if you will. Why prolong it? You know, and again, jumping topics here. I keep saying, in the end, the good guys win. In the end, yeah. No, they don't, because there is no end. Say Germans because some accepted the war. So absolutely. No, I'm talking more about Hitler and Mussolini here, but there is, yeah. I don't know where this idea of in the end, or that there is no end. I don't, yeah, I know we could nuke the earth and kill everybody or something, so we could create an end. But I really don't believe, in a practical sense, in a general sense, that there's going to be in the end. It's just over time, events happen, okay? And if you're losing the war, there's going to be life on the other side of it. It's Italy's going to continue. Germany's going to continue, likely. Sometimes it is over the existential existence, the actual existence of something will be erased. Basically, the existence of Judea or Israel or whatever you want to call it was erased by the Romans, and the diaspora happened and it was removed. Now, there were still Jews living there, absolutely. And there were Jews all over the Roman Empire, absolutely. So, sometimes, and it doesn't come back as a Jewish state until post-World War II. So, sometimes you may be fighting because you have no other choice. And just doomed. But I don't see that as a case for Italy. They almost the Allies let the king stay in power. I think though they required, though I don't know if it was required or they just decided, they held a plebiscite, and just barely, it was like, it was like 51-49 or even closer percentage than that. The plebiscite to remove the monarch happens. At some point after the fighting is concluded. I don't know if it was in 45 or 46. I don't know, but it's very, very shortly after the war. They hold a national vote, and the king loses, and he goes into exile. But that wasn't a hello, MNDB, how you doing? And hello, Crazy Warriors Cat fan, how you doing? So you have, there's no like, if the Allies win, Italy's gone. No, the fascist regime is gone. And so, but even the fascist regime was, I don't know what the end result of the fascist Ground Council thought was going to happen to them once they get rid of Mussolini, whether they thought they could stay in power in some fashion, or they were accepting going out of power, which which can mean execution. And this is where we're getting with Mussolini, and trying to avoid execution. I understand that. If you give an enemy, and I'm not talking like an individual person who's threatening you, but even there in a case, but if you're giving an enemy nation, no other choice. We are going to conquer you, we're going to imprison you, or kill you all. Then you're forcing them to fight. Okay, to the bitter end. And that does harden things. Now, so, getting more back to Mussolini, he's put in charge of the Italian Social Republic. Everything is collapsing. The Allies are sweeping up through Italy. Eventually, the Germans are collapsing down here. And Mussolini gets in a German, I think it's an SS convoy, at least there's some SS members there, but in a German convoy heading north through the Italian Alps. The convoy gets blocked, and by partisans, and the partisans say that they'll let the Germans go, but we want to inspect your convoy to make sure that there are no, doing air quotes here, traitors in your convoy. Basically Italians. They want to arrest all the Italians, the collaborators. And the Germans turn over Mussolini, or let them inspect, and they identify Mussolini in there and his girlfriend, Petacci. And they take them back and shoot them in the square and hang them upside down. The partisans do it. That was a mistake. I understand why people were upset with Mussolini in Italy. I really understand that, but that was a mistake. You should have held them. I know they might be afraid that a demand by the Western Allies to take possession of him, and that may or may not be, you may think he may get away with it, but he should have been tried in a proper court. And there may be a foregone conclusion that he's going to lose the trial, because whatever their charges are may be very true, and there may be plenty of evidence, but you still put him through a trial. So, hello, Robin the birdie. The War Thunder is tomorrow, Sunday. So even if it's a foregone conclusion, you present your evidence in a court. Doesn't I wouldn't say the Nuremberg trials were unbiased judges. No, they were biased, but I think they looked at the evidence. They presented the evidence. They went through the motions for the historical record. Let a proper process play out, not a I don't even know if there was a kangaroo court. I think they just shot Mussolini. So that was a mistake. So Mussolini was trying to save his life. He did not want to fall into the hands of the partisans. I don't know if he thought by fleeing to Germany he could somehow, whether it's live one more day or whatever that might be, another week or another month, or whether he somehow thought the Germans were going to turn the tables and win. No, I think it was as much about I don't want to fall into the hands of the partisans, and I totally respect that, because partisans are a mob. Hello, Aaron Patrick. And you don't want to fall into the hands of the mob. You never want to fall into the hands of the mob. So you may still die. But you want to fall into the hands of a reasonable situation, and so that's why So I don't know that Mussolini was fearing and running in panic and afraid and not willing to face his fate. He just didn't want to fall into the hands of the mob. Now, Hitler. Again, Hitler is what was my term that I was using before? Hitler has a lot of crazy ideas. His worldview there's a lot of mysticism wrapped up into it. There's I know I'm much more solid ground talking about Hitler than I am Mussolini. Just for those new around here, I once had a university course that was on Hitler. A whole university course. I don't mean a day. I mean a whole semesters long course. It was just on Hitler in university. So I'm much more solid ground on talking about Hitler than I am Mussolini. Yeah. I'm babbling. Sorry. So I know Hitler much better. So Hitler has these views. In a way, they're a Wagnerian, Richard Wagner, the composer of operas, a Wagnerian opera view of life. He had that when he was young, and it gets reinforced in World War I. He believes he has some sort of destiny to fulfill. I was arguing with someone about whether Hitler was a madman. Well, okay. Well, madman is a, non-specific term, obviously, and what does that mean? I'm trying to be precise in my language here. Hitler has crazy views, okay? Unrealistic views. Like a Wagnerian opera. Now, by the end, at some point, Hitler is delusional, okay? So before, like in the 1920s and 1930s, for the class on Hitler, my the big thing you were graded on ultimately in that class was you wrote a paper on Hitler. Yes, I got an A in the course. And my study of was Hitler's rise to power. I mean, people studied different. There was only like 12 or 13 people in the course. It was a small course. My look at Hitler was his rise to power. You know, Hitler understands reality from, you know, he understands what reality is. Now, Hitler, shall we say, and this goes to people's, is why things happen in the world. Different people have different views on that. I think it's called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, or something like that, because there's a couple of Munchausen movies. One made during the Nazi regime. That one is actually pretty good too. This is Terry Gilliam's movie, The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. I think that's the title, but it's very close to that. And one of the big themes is that there's sort of two competing viewpoints. I don't know if you go fabulism, that's sort of the extreme. Rationalism versus Romanticism, and they don't mean the modern term of romantic as in love between two people, but the romantic movement. If you look at the 19th century, of the way, and the bad guy is a rationalist. Everything is rational. There's a rational explanation for everything. Rationalism. Nothing beyond basic rationalism. Basically, you know, no God, no spiritual movements, no emotion, no. Hello. See you later. Okay, take a nap, Daniel. You can always catch this stuff later if you're interested enough. But I guess I'm not interesting enough to keep you up, or maybe you've been up late. So Hitler's not always rational in his, or Hitler is definitely not rational in his views. Why things happen, and this, you know, if you look at, say, the Middle Ages, people thought the reason things happened, like a famine, was because God was punishing somebody, whether them or some of their neighbors or whatever, and they just get caught up in it. They don't think it's just because of weather patterns. They think that there is and there's a lot of people to this day think that there is a reason, a big picture reason why everything happens in the world, versus rational is that it's just weather patterns. Now maybe it's somewhere in between. It's not all one or the other. You know, there is a middle ground there. Why things happen. Hitler is definitely not a rationalist. Hitler is definitely not rational. Okay, but he's not delusional. This is like coming to power. He is not. How much of Hitler's mental deterioration can be attributed to his abuse of another substance? Oh, morning medicine. Okay, no problem, Daniel. I'm not offended. Just you know, hope I'm being entertaining here enough. Absolutely. And I don't know, because you say his abuse. I would put. It's definitely overly abusive amounts. I will say, for sure, but I'm not going to say it was him abusing it. It was his doctors prescribing it to him and getting him hooked on the stuff. That is definitely part of it. I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist enough to know how much of that was contributing to it, but I will tell you the pressure of leading the war on anybody, you know, Churchill, Roosevelt. I mean, I'm sure leading the war and making tough decisions during the war shortened Roosevelt life. Now he's already sick, you know, he's in the wheelchair, and there's already things that are going to, shall we say, shorten his life anyways. But I'm sure that if he had been president during a relatively peaceful period of time, Roosevelt would have lived longer. So the pressure, and then the greater pressure, and then I know I've been just feeling it just playing this game with what it's not because obviously I don't care about these people in here dying, percents of dying here so much because they're not real people, and two, they're not even a character like a general here that we have a name and a face to. They're just statistics. There are a lot of people that can do that they're just statistics, and I would put Stalin definitely in this case. They're just statistics to him. The people dying on the front, not now maybe somebody that he knows dies, he cares. Like when his son gets captured by the Germans. The Germans capture Stalin's son. But to Stalin, in my evaluation, is he doesn't feel the loss of any of these people. I mean, hell, he does the Holodomor and other things. But that doesn't mean he doesn't feel pressure of, and he goes through, I would say, a mental breakdown as the Germans attack in the early stages. I'm not saying, but the pressure of winning and losing and making, major decisions really affects people like this. So I'm sure that is having an effect on Hitler as well. But I'm sure the drugs are. When's your next Heart of Iron stream going to be? I normally stream on the Hearts of Iron on Saturdays this time. So next Saturday. So yeah, Saturdays. You see you guys catching up. I'm just checking out the point. Morale was definitely purposely juice. Oh yeah, I don't know the doctor's names right offhand. With his position. Oh, absolutely. And so yeah, I've never gone deep into Hitler's drugs that he was being given, and I don't even know if there's good records on it. Hitler eats a normal, shall we say, German diet of his time period through his life, going through World War I, seeing all the death, and he saw lots of death and bodies being churned up in World War I. It's I think he finds it, but finds his, is it niece or cousin? I forget what, Gelly, who committed suicide. I believe his lover, but he was very controlling. Either way, he was super controlling of her. Whatever the real behind the people are salacious, so I'm not sure on that. But finds after Gelly commits suicide, he basically goes vegetarian. There's a few meat dishes he occasionally eats, but he goes vegetarian fairly early on. This is before he comes into power. And diet will affect your mental state. I'm not saying vegetarianism is a bad thing in and of itself, though I do think humans are best balanced with a balanced diet, hence the words. So Hitler's very early on with dealing with some of these things. So it wasn't the rotting bodies of World War I that gets him off of meat. It's when Gelly commits suicide, he stops eating meat. So that affects him mentally. Thank you, Daniel. You too. Blitz. Yes. I've heard of the book, Aaron. Someday I may read it. It's probably a very good topic. It's just so much to read, so little time. And so Hitler, like I say, he's not rational. And not that I'm, because I'm not a total rationalist. I'm not on the every thing is just weather pattern. But I'm not going to go into because I don't have solid personal belief. Like this is what I believe to be true. I have an open mind about some stuff, though. I think a lot of people go way over the deep end for whatever reason. But Hitler's definitely out there in the deep end of of belief and why things happen. And so, as the world is closing in on Hitler, yes, he is delusional. That is not a question in my mind. I'm not sure how delusional he is, though, because I truly believe he's got to be delusional. But I'm not saying that he is seeing things that aren't there, or hearing voices, that don't exist. But he is deluding himself, or is delusional about the realities of the situation he's in. Again, I don't know that, but I seem to remember some people talking about that, some of the stuff I read long ago, that at times Hitler just didn't seem coherent. And it wasn't just entirely because of his rages that he got in. And it's very well tied to some of the drug cocktails and other things that going on. Another one is, of course, Goering. Goering actually snaps out of it during the Nuremberg trials, and he's supposedly lucid self again, and really smart, bright, and personable and good. Now, of course, he's still evil, and they still need to put him to death. Not trying to, not a defense of him, but he gets out of his own drug induced stupor before the end. Hey, IKB, how you doing, my friend? So, why does Hitler keep fighting on? Well, he believes that he has a destiny to fulfill. He believes this down to his core. He believes this because of his experience in World War I, including him being not just wounded, but blinded, but then getting his eyesight back. I think, at some point, I think he's told that it won't come back, but it does. So he thinks this is a miracle. Or maybe he just, because we don't know what the doctor said to, him or whatever. We just have reports from him or whatnot. So you don't know what's entirely true or what he's just thinks is true. I'm not, just because of human memory, I'm not trying to slight or make any big statements there. What he thinks is true about that. And then all of the assassination attempts throughout his life, he believes he's guided by a higher power. And I think that's a good way to put it. I almost said divine. Well, I don't know if it would be a god or the god, because Hitler's definitely not a Christian. He is, but he believes, I think he's a neo-pagan. There's other people thinks it's more, what was the term they were using? I forget the term that they were, another similar term. But he believes that there's a higher power guiding his destiny. And he believes firmly at its heart that he will be successful. Because why else would this higher power save him from all these assassination attempts and other things in his life? And he totally believes that the reason he comes to power, in Germany, is because of this higher power. And it goes back to my earlier statement of why people believe things that happen, why things happen. See, I believe Hitler just had a feel-good message, if you will. I don't know if it's quite feel-good, but a feel-good message to a group of people who lost the war and who had gone through massive social upheavals. I get in trouble when I say things like this, but we can see this in modern politics is when, hey, we're going to spend all this money and it's not going to cost the American taxpayers anything, and people really believe this. People print this in the news and expect other people to believe it. That we're spending $1 trillion plus instead of the $1.5 trillion instead of $3 trillion or whatever it is, and it's not going to cost the taxpayers anything. People believe this, or people believe other people will believe this. Now they may think the spending is all for good reason and good purpose, but it's putting out a feel-good message and people believing it. Maybe they do. I think it's because Hitler puts out a message to a people that were seeing, like I say, cultural and social upheavals in Germany. And he had the Messiah message. He had the give me power and I will solve your problems, and this will be the, just in broad strokes, will be the solution. So that's why I think Hitler comes into power, not because there is some greater power helping it out. I just think he's the person with the message that is acceptable. Okay, Martin, thanks for hanging out. So Hitler has this belief. That is why Hitler, to the very end, he has, as things start to close in on him, he starts channeling, if you will, or believing it's going to be just like Frederick the Great, because Frederick the Great at one time, I think it was 3 armies, or was it 4, were all pushing in on Prussia. Each one of these armies, one was like the Russian and one was the Austrian, and I forget was it Hanoverian army? I don't know. Was it the French army? No, it was the French army. They were pushing in on Prussia. And each one of these armies was equal to his own army, so these armies were just going to crush him. Well, he in turn moves his army and defeats all these armies and wins the day. At least enough to keep Prussia alive. So he starts channeling that as that's what's going to happen to me, because happened to Frederick the Great. It's going to happen here, and we're going to have, and it's going to happen by wonder weapons. Well, so Hitler, that is why I put down is he thinks he has this divine guidance that's going to, I don't know, protect. We're going to help, is guiding him on his sacred mission, if you will. And at the end, now why does he commit suicide? Well, what's going to be the better option? Go on a trial like Goering and then get executed? Does he think he's going to get life in prison? Does he want that? Remember, he's also thinks life is a Wagnerian opera and would rather go out that way. So, that is why Hitler fights to the end. Now, why do the rest of the Germans fight to the end? Well, one, was it Casablanca or whatever, where they state that the Allies state that there'll be no conditional surrender. It'll be unconditional victory. So, like I said earlier, if you don't give your opponent an out, he's going to fight to the bitter end. Now, particularly in Germany's case, I think that is a very good idea, because you're not going to allow the Nazis to stay in power. But I think many, even Nazis, realized the war was lost. Why keep fighting? And, well, I would say it's these guys. It's the Soviets. It's the Bolsheviks' fault. Not the Russians. The Soviets are Bolsheviks. And they just thought that was going to be I don't know if unacceptable, because obviously East Germany and whatnot continues on. But there was another alternative, the West. It's not the Soviets are going to win, so they're going to take over. I think they fight because they want to delay the Soviet victory as long as possible, so there's victory in the West. Because the Germans have all experienced, at least all the generals, because you can find like Adolf Galland or a couple of other, I pointed out last week, it was at least one of the generals that was not a World War I veteran, but most all of the generals and a lot of the other higher ranking soldiers are World War I veterans, and most of, well, a good half or so of the rest of the leadership elements at least sort of grew up under, sort of immediate post-war. If you're just 20 years old, okay, you were born in 1918, you don't remember, or 1920 or something, or 2025, 1920, 1925, those kind of years. Yeah, you don't remember what's in the first few years of your life. But if you were like 10 years old at the end of World War I or whatever, or you've sort of grown up in the post-World War I, you know that Germany is survivable if conquered by the West, if having to be, administered by the West, and it's more survivable. What I don't really get is their long-term, especially anything post the Ardennes offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. Before and up to the Battle of the Bulge, you may be believing that the wonder weapons, because you've seen wonder weapons, the Sturmgewehr, the V1 and V2 rocket programs. Now, you may think, because of German propaganda, they're being much more effective than they are, but you see these wonder weapons in action. You see the jets flying over the skies, the Me-262 and, well, the rockets, Me-163. So you see the wonder weapons, and you think that maybe, but once that sort of fails, once you get to, January 1945, I don't know why there's still significantly continuing fighting in the West, but there is. So is it possible to play in my country? Oh, if you're thinking railway empire. No, Arno, railways don't work underwater. Just don't. So nothing there. All right. Well, so that's why why I think Hitler fought to the end. Is he thought he was guided and protected and was going to have that, and he was delusional. Yes. Right. Okay, that's going to be the end of this episode, Why Hitler Fought to the End. We will be back next time with more actual gameplay. I know we started and had the crash. So thanks, everyone. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron. Okay, we're going to be continuing the live stream here, but since I've just been paused on this, I'm going to do a quick restart, so it's going to go black, and we're going to keep playing here without me blathering on and on about things, more gameplay. Yes. Yes, Arno. Dutch underwater trains with wooden shoes. Well, I'm not exactly sure, because with Railway Empire, don't want to overstate things, but from my limited interactions and some of their public statements with Calypso, the people who publish Railway Empire, they were all done with Railway Empire, and then they came out with their Japan DLC, sort of surprisingly. Didn't announce it until it was like being released, so it was a big surprise to me. So I don't know why they ended the series and then made another DLC, and the DLC was released really fucked up. they did not do good play testing on that. So I don't know. But I really wish they would do a Russian DLC, because the stories of Russian railway development would be cool, and I think make it a good DLC. And I also think India would. But big problem with Africa, it's too fractured in the way railway empire, they all need to be connected together, and Africa is just too much of a, from the port inland kind of railways, and whatnot, as opposed to connecting everything up. It's more rails to sea transport, or sea to rail transport, however you want to look at it. And although they did do a nice Scandinavian one, DLC, I don't think there's enough to do here for story and development. From what I've read of it, I have not been following the new Hoi 4 DLC, but from what I've read of it, I'm very pleased with everything that I've read. I'm definitely going to be trying that out once it's out, and then somebody's going to tell me it's already out. I don't think so. So I've been watching, but not terribly closely. Really happy that railways are a thing in there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So let's see. We're going to review. Okay, let's start the episode. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and we're going to be playing some Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice, 10.41, and of course we're playing as Germany. I was asked a short while ago, what is your plan? Well, my plan is to slowly lose, because we are losing. And I don't see a good way out of it. And we won here. I think we will attack it. Yeah, just keep pushing, you push into there. Yes, cast pilot. And we're going to leave that going, and well, just like we did last time. Here. Well, we're slowing up the Soviet advance, at least. Fleet commando units. Oh, Suitor. Okay, I'm sorry if I don't keep track of who's on which one. What were you just over there? Playing the Hoi 4 DLC, and I think it's great. Right, well, so is it out yet? Is it? Have I just missed the release of that? The new one? And then I need to get it if if it's already out. Oh, it's not out. Okay. Yeah. Paradox, I don't know if you guys know, has been going through a period of change recently. The old boss is back again. The woman boss that they brought in is out, and they're shifting and changing things around. I don't know how much that's going to affect Hoi 4 as a game or not. I don't know. Yeah, I follow things. I'm not going to say I'm no longer in the beta, so I'm not getting some of my previous inside information that I used to get. But since I'm not, I'm also able to talk about things a little bit more than I used to be able to, because I'm still under an NDA for things that happened back then. But unless I can see it in the outside world, as it were. Okay, we'll put you in charge. Now let's see. He's not such a defensive SS here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the Waffen SS or Waffen Grenadier Division der SS Italian #1 was not a very good division. But we will still use it. Let's send it here to the east instead of Italy. Very good, IKB. And as soon as it's out, I'm planning on getting it and playing as well. It's not going to hold. Um, Without manpower, this isn't going to go well. Okay, Suitor. Yeah, I know how that goes. Down here, good. Winning in Africa, being pushed back here. Okay, well, I guess we'll move these Italians in. Hungarian and Italian division. Battering. Let's send you back up to the front. Hopefully these will be getting manpower from their nations and not from mine for replacements. I had such high hopes for Hoi 4. I really did. Well, let's then grab those two R, add that to there. Well, a little better unit. Where's more of those? Light guns, I know they're out. Well, Let's go with those two. Here. Use military technology to compensate for manpower shortages. Hello, Stephen. Well, what you can do is change some of the laws here. Now you can also come here and reduce strength of units. So this reduces the manpower needs per unit. The reason I'm not doing that is because I don't think I need more units. In fact, if anything, I could disband some units and think I'd be good. Where I'm having more of a problem is, I mean, sure, there's a lot of these units that are attacking me, and there's sometimes a lot of them here, but a lot of these units are actually fairly weak. You know, these are tank brigades. So if we're not getting good numbers on some of these, if we were to look at some of these attacks, they're not, you know, there may be like 6, 8, you know, of these units or more, but they're not individually very good. So the idea of just more manpower isn't necessarily, okay, there's a heavy flak unit. Let's compute it. Isn't necessarily the thing that is missing. So the way, like I say, I could go in and ruthlessly, and I did go in before and delete a bunch of the HQs. If you look back at earlier episodes that I had here, and I could delete some more units. Really, I want to fight this by having, oh well, and there's also yes, there are technologies here. See, this one reduces manpower, this one ups manpower. Well, it's 1944, so when we get another slot, but it reduces our ICs. So there are some of these various technologies here that will help out with manpower as well. So there are things like that too. Oh, good. We're okay. They're almost out. Okay, great. What's the hills? Hills. Okay, we're mostly going down. Well, let's that way. Let's move you this way. We're in the mountains already. Let's look at terrain. Oh no, you're just in the hills. So reach out somewhat intact. Just to this river, maybe. Let's take a look at what air we may have usable here in the east, because I'm seeing they're dive bombing my troops. Okay, where are you? Here, intercept this region. Get some up. There we go. Still in bad shape. No, that one's in good enough shape. Not in good shape, but good enough shape. Before I missed it, but is there a way you can win against the Soviets still, or is this about buying time? I think the game's lost, Suter. That's my defeatism here. What I am doing is, you can just see here, building lots of infrastructure because a massive amount of my problems are lack of supplies, lack of organization of units as much as it is about strength of units. But even if I get supplies flowing to this front here, I don't think I'm winning. I fortunately basically defeated Operation Torch, and I defeated a AI invasion up here, British invasion up here. So that is doing fine, but let's move you down this way. I don't know that we need to, but let's just grab one of these. The rest can come here. So yeah, no, I think this is more about just holding on. And I know I don't think Suter's been around that much. Steiner and Grief will change everything, yes. Taking on the scripted invasion, I had a fairly large force sitting up here in Cartagena. Spain is in the Axis, but not in the war. So we were able to have a fairly large force here ready to move down. Okay, well, there's some good units there. So, well, we have the main transport fleet. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's coming back up here. We want to transfer some more forces down here. Okay, they finally made it. The last unit made it out of that. Fall down into here. You start falling. You start retreating into there. Fiction here. So I don't see a real plan out of this. And like I was starting to say, I was just playing this series initially as a hey, what's changed in Black Ice? Let's just check it out because I'm at the time and I'm preparing to build my own mod, or to update my own mod, so I need to know what's changed. And it just kept going, and then and I wasn't prepared properly for a Soviet invasion of the Soviet Union. I knew it at the time. I still thought, well, people wanted to see it, let's do it. And that's turned out that way. Meaning everything's collapsing. I really wish the AI, I don't think the AI is smart enough to constantly unnerve me by stopping and starting an attacks constantly, because I'm following him back. Okay. Alright, that's probably for good reason there. Like every hour they stop that attack. Okay, Panzer Grenadier HQs have advanced. We'll let that continue. But we're not going to take the HQ because I'll just take manpower that we don't have. Keep building that infrastructure. Oh yes, rather heavily. We can look quickly at the air war here, air map mode. We can see they bombed here recently in the last however many days. The coal there. We can see all the air battles that have been happening here, bombing some of my infrastructure here, bombing over here. So they're most assuredly doing a bombing campaign. No, it's over here in Lear. They're hitting here. Oh, they're for sure doing that. This is brilliant by the Black Ice guys, giving, you know, America, not so much specifically here, but all this area here, you know, there were so many air bases, it's almost as if they had given some territory to the Americans. So having this here really sets up a American bombing campaign, and I've definitely seen, like right here, American bombers. These aren't specifically strategic, but they're definitely bombing here. And I still have some fighters up here that are intercepting. Well, I believe it is best to win the air war with air units. Now, why should I build? Yeah, probably I should at this point, but again, we're looking more short term rather than long term. I'm looking at building up infrastructure here in the east. So I think if you do it well and do it right, it's better to have a lot of air. It's better to put your ICs into air units and have a proper amount of those than to spend money on fixed AA units. I think that's generally a better thing. Now, at this point, it probably would be better to build some AA units, but still, okay. Well, before I do this. Okay, so we see soft attack is 11, hard attack is 2.79, and piercing is 53. Okay, so 11, almost 3, and 53. And now here we have hard attack is 33, soft attack is, almost 5, and piercing is 34. So this, by putting in flak guns, we're reducing the amount of hard attack we do considerably, but we're upping its piercing. Well, is that a better solution? I'm not sure. This transport. So now we have better transport. So let's move these guys to here. I think I'm going to send this all the way down to here. Yes, the AI, okay, at some point, and I don't know currently what it's set at, if the AI gets, it notices too much AA, it will avoid that. So 2 factories here in Cologne, is it worth putting an AA to defend that? Now, we have all these factories with the heavy industry. Yes, it's absolutely worth it. So, and you will see what Third Reich Events does is that this whole region here was a Luftflank zone or whatever before as part of the West Wall building program. And so I've sort of given you relatively cheaper event, that does still cost, but gives a bunch of AA for a lot of this sort of region in here. Not all over Germany. So you get that, and that's pretty good, which definitely reduces. And it's not overwhelming, but it's definitely some AA there in that regions. And that's definitely a good one to take. Now we should give you to, I don't know, I guess these guys. Oh, another unit there. See. Well, I just lost that HQ that was here. Retreat into the mountains. Can't retreat here just yet because we got to get these guys out because we don't want to have that get overrun. You come into there. Sonar. Detection equipment. Very nice. That over here. No. What would be over here, I think? Here, okay, it's grayed out. I just like to find these amphibious unit training. Have enough of these guys. Let's stop this. That and direct fire. And SSHQs have. Stop that and move it over to some of these other X. No, Elite Commando, something that's going to be more broadly affecting here. Reinforcements from there. Nope, Kriegsmarine hasn't gotten there yet. Okay, well, I think we're going to keep the live stream going, but I think we're going to end this episode here. Thank you for watching. Thanks for liking the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron. Okay. Yeah, let's make another episode here. I don't know if you guys know how taxing it is playing a losing campaign, but damn, it's tough. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and we're going to be continuing our campaign here in the east. Well, let's see, which one do what I want to do here is that light infantry. Okay. Let's add the light infantry unit from there. So we're going to add that. Don't know that we need modal. Well, I'm going to get rid of one of those. What else can we find here to attach there? Okay, let's add in the light. Well, not a great or terribly balanced unit, but still, I think that could be good. Let's move you up to here. Yes, I'm seeing we need to fall back here. We're going to get cut off. Yeah. Okay, everybody fall back to here. And more steps back. Yeah, it's just taxing. Oh, hey, a defeat. What do you know? Well, let's fall back behind this river. Well, here, good enough. Now let's get these guys back. Rebase. Rebase. Alright, well. here. Their heavy bomber pilot training really just only helps. We don't have any heavy bombers. Just helps our heavy transports, but we'll stop that because I think we can better use the research or the leadership, however you want to say it. Almost there. Well, took out the Kirkness, the regiment up here in Kirkness. I don't know if they're going to hold out very long once they sort of collapse. Oh, we've got our reinforcements up here. Good. No. Let's go. Okay, you guys come back down to here. Then we have some guys in the back. Hopefully hold our back because we do have the river here. Because once we lost Finland, all those units that were crushing Finland now get to come around and push on us. So by hopefully holding with fewer units than they're attacking with, we keep their forces divided, though of course it divides our force, but that's... No, not with flying boats so much. Haven't looked at Coastal Command really recently. How is Coastal Command? Or what are we calling them here? Well, the float. Oh, it's up over here. It's the Marine one. That's right. I have it. Where is it? Keep losing. Oh, Fleeger Course C. That's right. Okay, so we do have a bunch of these guys that we can put out here. For Naval Strikes, now that they're organized up again, you need to stop striking. Get reorganized. Come down here, go after any convoys. Though there's probably not much of the idea of convoys. So you come out over here, and we'll go after the ones out in the Atlantic. Okay, and you need to stop. There. I think flying boats in this game are much more useful for Germany than a lot of ships. I built those heavily. Don't keep fighting here, just retreat. They're already pushing here too hard. Look at this. Well, this is going to be an overrun. I don't think we can hold long enough. Stuff. It's very nice to have, and we were doing reasonably well. It would be very nice, but we're not even doing that. Okay, well, back to they've made it to there. These guys are here now. The Algerian coast. Well, some of our and there's subs out here. Okay. Well, go there. Just support the attack on them. Mountain HQ's advance, and no, we're not going to take. Just so that you guys know, things like these mountain HQs here. The big thing is reduced delay between attacks. Cumulatively so far, 8 out of 10 is 4 hours. It's not 4 hours per level. Special forces elements, like similarly to you see infantry, you know, and assault are plus 5% and whatnot. By improving this, it improves special forces by 4%, mountain HQs by 8%. So these are good to research, even if, and we're going to stop this here because I think we can maybe do better ones. Even if we're not going to take, and we're just not clicking these things, you can click and not take them, even if we're not going to take the HQs for them. So yeah, it's a good thing to do. There's no reason to really hold in this province, so fall back. To hold here, so let's also retreat there. Before we get cut off, you guys fall back to there because they're able to push into here. And we've won here. Okay, well, you start taking the territory back. You come back up this way. Oh, I don't want production that high. Why did I do that? Hooked all the way into here. Well, what we can do, I guess. No, that's holding in the mountains. Yeah, here or not. Okay, you fall back into, because this is plains, this is the mountains. Okay, you guys keep coming back around here. These guys out. Okay, mechanizing HQs, nice. That. High velocity gun advance. Okay, good. So we can now shoot high velocity rounds better. Here. Okay, 45 feet too far into the future. Wing aerodynamics, that will help our fighters. Here, and now too far into the future. Right, now what we got here, now that we've got those addressed, let's improve our medium armor designs. And assault guns. And we have a little bit, I don't know if we need heavy assault guns. I know Arno would like heavy assault guns. But realistically, we don't have any yet. Or even heavy tank destroyers yet. I think we'll do medium tank destroyers. Move those. Shift that back to that. They're pushing on all of these. Oh, that's wow. We've got a lot of these guys. These units here. Now we've added some forces here to that one. That's going to be added to probably some of Myers. These are awfully weak, but they're awfully good. How they should be used in this game is as sort of additive forces, not as stand on their own units. So either do like what I'm doing here and add in a few other units to make them better, or stack them with other units. Okay, well, we're going to get that very soon. So that'll, but meaning not combine them necessarily, but stack them with other units, and then they work very good. How important is not at all, but well, I have plenty of oil. We got oil here, and I have easily this much oil stored down here that if I connect returning resource pipeline from, or convoy from down here, I'll get plenty of oil. It's more that this whole front will collapse if they get through these mountains here. They'll collapse in through the desert and they'll be into the Mediterranean. So that's more of that situation there. I brought Iran in to early on to push, at the start of the Soviet war, to push into here, and I got, deep into the Caucasus. So holding Iran is more about its strategic position than its oil right now. And if I can get units out and as well as get units over there, I might be able to. I think that's where I need these guys more than down here. And for a long time, we were able to hold along the border with just one German para unit, basically per province, along with the Persian units that were coming into the fight. Okay, they've just pushed into here, shattered the last unit there. Okay, let's move some good condition units back to there. Stabilize the front a bit more. Oh, Comp Group 88 finally shattered. They were down here. Okay, well. Marine HQs again. More helpful that just get effects, particularly special forces in the artillery brigades. This lack of manpower is just killing me here. None of these units are getting reinforced. Vichy France, yes, you may have all the energy you want. Yep, they just overran those two divisions. Analysis, my current analysis, and I know people keep out, well, how are you planning on winning? Well, like I say, I've long since declared Barbarossa as a operation lost. Which that doesn't necessarily mean the whole game is lost, but Barbarossa was lost. You know that. But I had hoped that I would be able to hold here better, but you know, there's lots of supplies. You can see supplies used into the network, and you can see down at the bottom, supply down right about here, supplies returned to stockpile. So it's not that I don't have enough supplies. I just don't have enough supplies in the right spots. But even when I do, I'm not able to effectively hold, even in places like, hey, yeah, well, let's get the HQ out. But the dirty, nasty swamps that are almost impossible to take. And this is in winter here, for which has a lot of penalties. You can see these units are about ready to collapse. Here, I'm not able to hold here, so I'm not able to hold this province here, which means I'm not going to hold this province, which means I'm not going to hold this, which means I'm not going to hold, which means I'm not. Because of things, including the way Black Ice is behaving here, in that it'll attack and gut divisions like this, meaning this unit should not still be fighting with taking such high levels of casualties. It should fall back. Organization is way too high in my opinion. I know I put out the poll and my views did not carry the day. They liked it the way it was. So this has gutted my manpower. Now I could have much earlier on this is sort of analysis of what's going on. My conscription laws earlier on went to emergency conscription, where I was at probably extended for the longest time here, trying to keep, national revolt risks down, keep daily dissent down. I was on extended, so could have had 130% manpower. I mean, and so doing that earlier on, it would have made a much bigger cushion of manpower. Also up here, I did fairly quickly once the war started, went to service by requirements, which increases the manpower here. I guess I could go to total war, but we're not really that bad off on ICs. It's manpower. I really don't know what if I can't come in and target hold along a particular river here, pick out now, obviously, but they push me back from this part of the Dnieper here. And yes, part of this is because of supplies, at least at the time, were bad up here, and these units lost all organization. Now they have organization, at least enough to sort of hold on for a considerable amount of time, but I was unable to push back and push them out here. They're pushing along here. They're going to take here soon. We can see some decent unit conditions, but others not. And they're pushing in here, so I can't stay here. I've got to retreat out of here. So this is untenable. Maybe if I'd move these forces forward, but there's no guarantee for sure. But so I don't see I've had decent news along here and able to hold, but not able to hold up into here. When they really concentrate their forces, they're, we might be able to hold Vitebsk. I don't know if they're pronouncing that right, but we might be able to hold that there, but they're definitely going to get into here. If I can't hold here, what means I can hold here, and they're going to push here. They're going to cross this river. We're going to fall back to here. And there isn't, that I can see, I have, let me just hit the save button here. I have, heavy armor coming, some heavy armor here, a couple of Panzer Grenadier divisions with heavy armor support, and that heavy armor may be enough to, and attach it to decent condition units if I had manpower, to hold the line. And yes, and one of my big tests was I going to be able to do what I did here? Yes, this gave me hope here, being able to push out Torch. And again, those of you who may have not been watching all the stuff, the Black Ice team, the story used to be when you had For the Motherland, there were lots of suicide invasions. You left any one of these ports unoccupied, the British would invade. You could then go in and crush the invaders and rinse and repeat and bleed the British, white. Or if you kept forces in the port, they would keep trying to do invasions, but they would just sort of bounce back and forth. Invade, lose organization, go home, keep doing this again and again. Well, when they released their Finest Hour patch, they fixed the problem. This is what the problem is. For all their big time were Paradox as opposed to Matrix or Slytherin. As many of you know, I have now a much closer relationship with Slytherin. In fact, they pay me money. Full disclosure, I'm not an employee, but they pay me money to stream for them, and which does give me some, and they do get some inside information. Not all the stuff. There's a bunch of stuff coming. I have no idea what it is, and if I knew, I probably couldn't say anything about it, obviously. But they're a much smaller company. Paradox, they've had some really big successes and such, and they've admitted some of the stuff. They admitted that. And they've stopped. All the people you think you know by this point that when you buy a big Paradox title, the game's going to be developed over the years. You're spending, especially if you're buying it new. You're putting money into it, and they're going to fix the problems. Well, they said, well, F it with Imperator Rome. Now, full disclosure, they gave me all my Imperator Rome copies. I didn't pay any money, so I'm not salty over money that I spent. But I really sort of liked the game and really thought it could be developed into something really good. But they gave up on it. And so yeah, it's none of this is salty over money because yeah, I'm going to be buying a new DLC for Hoi 4 when it comes out. They gave me the original Hoi 4 because I was in the beta, but I paid for the expansion pack. So I mean, I pay some money for this. This isn't all free, but it isn't about the money. I don't care about the money. It's more my time. I care about my time. I put lots of time into these games, and I love playing these stuff. So you just gave up on Imperator Rome. Well, they fixed the crazy invasion problem. Now the AI doesn't invade anymore. Because this, and I don't know if their attitude's changing or anything, and to me it came off as delusional. We talked earlier about, and if you're watching this later, Hitler and his delusional. Their attitude came off as, I was going to say arrogant, but it's sort of delusional. Early on, in talking to them about Hoi 4, before it was released, an early release time period, I was like, well, hey, can we just be able to do scripted battle plans, invade AI? No. We want a good dynamic AI because we think that a scripted AI, people would just learn how to defeat the script. If you always know that the AI is going to, now let's go over to this, come through, because the borders have changed so much, come through, the Ardennes, well, you put all your, I mean, they didn't say in this detail, but, and I'm sort of explaining for them, you just put your masses of forces here, you defeat the scripted AI. So we want a good dynamic AI. Well, what in their experience have ever shown that they can do a good dynamic or do a good combat AI? They can do doom stacks, an EU whatever, that create the big massive army that comes crashing through the map at you. But a good tactical command, and you go, well, they're beating me here. They're not beating me here because they got good AI. They're beating here because they have superiority of units. That's why they're winning here, not because they have good AI. So what in the world, where I can get more challenging gameplay when it's done right from Alvaro's scripted AI for Warplan, I can get more challenging stuff out of that, out of a single guy doing it out of his home, scripting the damn AI. Now, I know it's not as complicated. It's absolutely not nearly as complicated a level of his every 2 weeks turn, where this is every hour there's a turn basically going on. An initiative bounces back and forth, because this is not a real-time game. It looks like a real-time game. It's not. It's an hourly game, but the turns are so short. Are so short. Oh, look, well, mess that up. The turns are so short, you don't realize it. That this is much, much more complicated. Absolutely, I know this. But no, we don't want to do a scripted AI because we want to do a good. Well, they've never once shown that they can do a good AI. What makes them think they can do a good AI? So they F things up so that the AI basically doesn't invade. Okay? So, but all they needed to do was, and it would be so easy to go into their EULA, and I can almost program it myself now. I could almost program it myself, and I'll know nothing. It was just a DSafe and helped me out with some basic codes for EULA that I'm now doing for productions, AI for production stuff for Hoi 3. But all you need to do was go in there for Britain, and particularly Britain, was you leave the AI for invasion just as it was for the motherland. Just leave it that way, but make it says do not go in there. Do not invade do not invade unless, and I don't know exactly how to code it, but I could probably figure it out. Have somebody help me. Do not do invasion unless Germany is at war with the Soviet Union. They may put another couple of conditions. So that what would be still maybe a suicide invasion, sort of a Dieppe-like raid, but would cause a German player to strongly keep forces here, really actually worried about an invasion, instead of just, we can plunge all the panzers, all the good units, leave just crap, garrison forces. The only reason there's some good units here now is because I had to move them over for this invasion. All you had to do was do sort of, a conditional statement was, if you're at war with the Soviet Union, because that would then, mess with the German player enough, and they could then, invade. You would have to garrison Norway, and so that would force Germany to not put nearly as many forces on the Eastern Front. But no, they couldn't even do that. They effed it up. Now, what the brilliant guys at for all I bitch and moan about the current Black Ice guys of Hoi 3, they're different guys for Hoi 4, so that's another whole thing. Much as I bitch and moan about things on the Hoi 3 guys, I do love them if they're watching this, love their work or whatever. They figured out by testing that Marine units, the AI is still aggressive with. The AI will still invade if it has some Marine units. So they have given, particularly Britain, but also America, told the production AI, shall we say, I think is mainly, though they may have given some by events, but they've told the production AI to build more Marine units than what would be historically correct. So then, once they get enough, and that's what they did, is they got enough, and they actually, they made it ashore, and they almost took a port. They almost got Rotterdam. So with that, and then they're also giving more Marine units to Japan and America so that there's more naval invasions, is with enough Marine units, the AI will still be aggressively invading. And then they also sort of, and they can, because again, DSafe's helped me out and I've got to look at it, they can tell like what year to start building Marine units. So you don't, in the 30s, 38, 39 or whatever, tell Britain to build Marine units because you don't want them to have a bunch of AI units that will do stupid invasions. You can sort of tell them, 41 or whatever, start building Marine units for Britain or whatever the details are, and you can tell it. You can give it a year. So they start building a bunch of good Marine units to then challenge the player and doing the AI. Getting the AI to invade, to make you have to defend Western Europe, not just from the scripted invasions. And they've even created good scripted invasions here you don't know whether they're going to land in, Normandy or up in Calais or out in Brest or up in the Netherlands or maybe way down here now. And so they're able to, hey, thanks, Arno. Thanks for thinking that. I do appreciate it. Arno's a great help here. So these guys at Black Ice are able to think and do stuff that the Paradox people won't. And maybe this is the whole bringing Fred Wesser back. They've canceled a bunch of projects. I don't even know what some of the more secret projects. I don't think they're firing any of the programmers. They're just shifting them around. But they don't seem to really care about their products that much. Now, in the early days, because I started with the original EU and then EU2 before I really paid attention to the company name. But in the early days, there were a small production studio, and that's different. But it just, to me, by the time they give up on Hoi 3 before fixing it. And I don't know, because I've not been in the beta and I've been disillusioned, not been carefully looking at Hoi 4, though the railroad stuff is really impressive. So I don't know the direction they're going. No, so I don't know. Maybe they're going to do it. So I'm just sort of disappointed in Paradox for what they could do, for their seeming talents, and they just seem to, splatter things out. Oh, well, Hoi 4 is great. So many people are playing Hoi 4. We're getting lots of, metrics coming back. Yeah, I know. And maybe it's a success for the people that are playing it because they like it. But to me, it just seems like a shallow game. It's gotten a lot deeper than it was, and they fixed a lot of the glaring problems. But yeah, this is sort of Gamer's rant on that. So back to this. I mean, there's just 2 divisions here, but we're about ready to gonna lose more. That's a very big weak spot that I'm worried about here, this province. We can't even really hold with armor divisions, well down here. But it had manpower, that would be a different matter. Here, heavy armored brigade. Yeah, here we have good intelligence. See, like I say, a lot of times we're seeing these stacks that are attacking us. They got 6, 8, 12 units, but this is just a heavy armored brigade and a reconnaissance unit. That's not very good. Now here's a proper division. That's effective. It's just medium armor, but that's a proper armored division. What's 2 units here? So an infantry unit, and it looks like an armored brigade or something like that with heavy armor there. But there's just the German unit here in the desert, and there just is Marine. But now this province, this they can't. Okay, so it's anchored on a province they can't come into. They're pushed all the way into here with this unit. Para stuff, so the Stug is ours. So it's armor. So they pushed in here, but I don't know that we're going to hold this. And if we look here, down here in Bandar Abbas, what's the point? Only 1 point, but yeah, we're getting stuff coming. And yeah, we can probably move a few of these divisions over there, but I really don't know the long-term survivability here. I don't even know if we're going to hold Crimea. So I don't see a light at this end of this tunnel. I don't see a victory. I don't know. I know there's people that want to watch me play to the bitter end, but it's not really true. They want to get updates. A lot of people, like watch it because the average watch time on a lot of these videos is like 5 minutes. So that means some people are 20 seconds, and some people are the whole length. So, and so we're not getting that much watch time. So I don't know how much further we're going to continue with this. But the only light you need is nuke. Yeah, I hear you, Arno, and I know you're sort of trying to be funny, but secret technology. No, where is it? Nuclear research. Yeah, get through this. Get through this. Get through this however many times, and then start building bombs. Yeah, but I can't even start building nukes yet. I mean, how long is it going to take me to do that? And I don't think that that's going to do it. So I don't know the future of this. I really want to get my modding done and go with try to do if it's stable enough, do a multiplayer game. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to continue or not. And yeah, a lot of this is morale and my morale, and I'm just dispirited because I don't know how to fix this. I thought I had some stabilization elements along here, but this is going to collapse very soon. Yeah, okay, that unit's in good shape. That ain't. So we have one good shape unit here. You're only attacked by one unit right now, but they're going to come more. They're going to keep coming. And I don't know how to get this stopped. So, yeah, love to hear everyone's thoughts. You can post them down below in the comment section. I got to get a happier game. Play. I don't mean happier one, not so much a different game, but I'm going to play Hoi 4 once the new DLC comes out, and just Hoi 4 with the game and not mods. And then once mods are out for it, then we'll be doing that too. So we'll see what's going. I don't know the future of this. Yes, this isn't saying I'm quitting, but this is saying I'm quitting for today because I'm just more and more dispirited by it. Thank you all that make it this far. Thank you, Arno, for being help on everything. So thanks, everyone. Okay, guys. I think what I'm going to do here now is fire up my other game of Hoi 3. Yes, I have more than one game of Hoi 3. Let's see how this looks. Yes, I know your screen is black. Now you notice this is taking longer to load in because it's a different version of Hoi 4, and the Optane hadn't quite realized that it's the same thing. Just do it the same, but no. What other games do you guys want to see played that I might be playing? Just curious. So we have a moment here. Other than like Hoi 3 or Hoi 4, and I don't mean today, I mean just generally speaking. What other games? Well, there's a lot I like. Quite honestly, there's a whole lot that I like. Now, some of them don't get a lot of views, like Field of Glory. Any of the Field of Glory stuff doesn't. But I don't know whether it's other strategy game, grand strategy type games, or they are Den's offensive. Decisive campaigns are Den's offensive. Looks pretty good. I don't know if there's other tactical stuff. Okay, so here we are. Now we've gone back to March 1937. Let's see. Best in Zinc. We're not going to do that. Let's make an episode of this. See how well TRE is running with this version of Black Ice. Now this is 5.1. Well, let's start making an episode. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and I just got a little too overwhelmed and depressed playing my losing campaign to the Soviets, so I've jumped over to my other campaign in which we are examining how well TRE is working with Black Ice 10.51. Now I know they're at 10.52 or 3 out now, and I will update. I don't know that it's going to cost me much time or whatever getting it for the. That's too fast. Slightly newer version, yes, you may have energy. I do hope to get back to modding soon. A lot of stuff is partially done. Sweden wants energy, sure. Now, how is Sweden doing diplomatically compared to us? With us, say that. Okay, where are they? Right here. So they are. Sweden is mostly drifting to the Axis. Okay, but they're very close to the Allies up here. Interesting. Okay, mountain unit training. Equipment. Oh, is it down here? Yes, 1937. Okay. Yeah, we'll let that continue. What flavor weapons are you using? You know, you can show. Sure, Arno, we can do that. So here they say we're using semi-auto. This is. I know Arno likes to see these, but you know, this photo has the semi-auto rifle, which yeah, that's a 1941 rifle that they made. I think so. 37, way too early for that. Early machine gun that they did very few of. And for armor, Panzer 1s. Yeah, 37 Panzer 1s would probably be the most common, though Panzer 2s would be coming up in fairly decent numbers. Yeah, more Panzer 1s. Infantry tank, yeah, the big old Neubart Fahrzeug. So yeah, they're just Pack 36 would be about right. Tank destroyers they didn't have yet, but that would be sort of right. Yeah, armored cars, heavy AA. Well, they would already be using the Flak 18 for heavy AA. Yeah, Gewehr 41. I'm not sure whether that was the Mauser or the Walter Gewehr 41. They both had a trials gun. Doing that. Getting a lot of that into production. We'll get to units soon. Oh, fuselage aerodynamics. Pop right up. Okay. No, that's here. Yeah, stop that. We've got other, yeah, self-sealing tanks, I guess. Keep that in the aeronautical. Okay, tank destroyers, yes. Advanced. We'll do medium armor designs. Yeah, there we go. Click the right things. Yes, you can have energy Uruguay. Ooh. Well, multiple heavy tank units while you can. You will need them. Well, right now, yeah, right now we can't. We don't yet have heavy armor designs to build those, and we're not going to build infantry support tanks. So we will see. Someone stole our blueprints and what? Okay, submarine damage control acquired by enemy artillery carriage designs. That's the one that just happened. Okay, 37 or 38. We'll take that off. We can do 38s, but I don't want to do 39s just yet. I would prefer to do 37 technologies if we have decent ones still needing to be done, but I'm not seeing too many of those. Well, let's push the gasoline in its full. You may have metal. They're still in a civil war over here. Okay, canceled. Well, fine. Bendener Sorge with burning concern. If anyone, well, people use whatever they can to attack whatever they don't like. The Catholic Church as a whole was very anti-Nazi, very much so. We will lose 4 unity and gain 2 in dissent because our Catholic population will not be happy after this happens. So yeah. Yeah, I know that in sort of Croatia area, there were some Catholic priests and whatever, and what is it? Tiso was a Catholic priest, I think, or whatever, running over in Slovakia. So yeah, you do get some, and there's sort of a minority within it that are, whether it's pro-Nazi or just local. Some of it's more local nationalistic. Okay, let's do one of these for now, so we don't stack up too many all at once, because we do have the here. Where is that? I don't know. Spawn. We are getting more units coming in. They've launched a battleship. Okay, range finding equipment, nice. Well, to keep our manpower up, let's push now on mass events. We've seen what can happen with our manpower in the other game. Yeah, Road Manor, what I want to do is, once I get TRE done and released, and some of the other submods are all updated and fit and work with that, if things are stable enough, I would like to have a multiplayer game with a German, Italian, and Japanese player on one side, and an American, British, and Soviet player on the other side. And play historically, as in leading up to any nation coming into the war, and work out any of the details, talking with the other players. Now, once they're in the war, no one's saying that the Americans need to do Operation Torch. They can just decide to, once they're in the war, they can decide to send huge numbers of forces, to Britain over here in Egypt and push that way, or decide to invade Norway or whatever. It's not meant to mean that everyone has to follow World War II script, but no cheesy American invasions of various Latin American countries, or somehow get America in early, or whatever, things like that would, unlikely to have happened in reality, kind of thing. But once you're in, it's sort of mostly do what you want. Seaport capabilities. At least that's how I envision this. Okay, those are good, but this is down manpower, but we need the industry up. Yeah, let's do this. Whenever I play and have problems like losing manpower, I become overly sensitive to things like that. And that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm working towards is for a series. Soviet Union, we would give them money for crude oil. Okay. Do that. Well, Rogue Manor, are you in my Discord server? That is a requirement, will be a requirement. If not, Arno can post an invite in the chat there on Twitch and in YouTube if he would like, and we can talk about it. Well, I don't mean right now, but I mean just generally a member on the Discord server. You should get in there if Arno would post a link. Hey, Eric. Thanks for the raid. Thank you. Hey, Niagara. So, yeah, we'll see who, and it's partially going to be dependent upon, quite honestly, there's one, how good your computer is, because that does matter in how fast your computer can play. Does matter your internet connection. Part of it is where you are in the world. Just from testing, I know that those two things do matter in syncing up multiplayer games. So if those are good enough, I'm not saying you got to be the best. You just have to be good enough to play well in testing. So those are two of the biggest requirements. 3 would be, and I haven't set a date or a time, but would be routinely available like once a week. Let's just theoretically say Friday evening once a week, or what, it may end up being a Sunday morning. I don't know, but it just, and I don't know if obviously where you are in the world at what time that might be, but you would routinely be able to show up. I understand there's emergencies. So, those kind of considerations come in. It also, accounting for games is definitely on the invite list. If all of those, will work out for him. He's another streamer, smaller streamer, but a good guy. And maybe I could induce a couple other streamers to, stream their, from their nation. And playing a smaller, thanks, Arno. So those are playing some of the smaller nations. The only reason I would be concerned about like that, I would love to have somebody playing somebody like Romania or France, or Australia or Canada, is just if we're in testing, if more players means more instability. That would be my concern. But definitely willing to test it. So just get into the Discord server, be sort of available, and we'll see what goes. So no promises anything yet. And again, I just sort of included this for multiple reasons. FW Assman and Sons, Shones. Um, and now that you've joined, I wrote this plot. Now that you've joined the SS, you need a spiffy uniform to have people properly fear you. Without that, why join the SS? I just this is here's the up here in the detail is with the whole sort of advertisement. That's a real period advertisement. Ah, yes. So Eric, how's your day been? I guess you hope well. Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how, it's my dream to play it because I've always wanted it, whether online, as part of a uh, series on YouTube or just to play it. I've always wanted to play multiplayer, but play it right and play it well. Okay, infantry unit training, which here is grayed out. Okay, good. Military police advance, is that the one down here? 37. Okay, I think we can do this too. Slow research. Mobile unit training. 58. We'll shift this. Oh, and then we'll do that. Okay. Move these to 37s. There we go. And so my dream is, to have a human player playing the Soviet Union and making good, rational decisions. And if they defeat me, they defeat me. That would make good television. Um, and having the one thing I do sort of fear with the human player and doing this is like Britain's over ability to, reinforce or something into the, into Egypt or something unrealistically. I don't know. I don't know how that's going. Okay. The National Socialist Flieger Corps. Um, do we want to sort of, as a successor, do we want to form this? We can decide not to, but yeah. So we'll gain some manpower, which basically is like pilots and whatnot. Get a lot of people interested in flying. Communications. Okay, and okay, both 38s, which is not a problem researching 38s, but let's get all the 37s done here first. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Playing a multiplayer game like that. Why didn't that pop up? Don't know. Mountain equipment. Yes, good. Yes, nationalist China. That'd be another interesting one to play with a human. Okay, infantry unit command and control. We'll get to some of these 38s soon, but I think I would rather get to some of the 38s that matter now more. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, resignation of Dr. Gaudler? I don't know what's his name. There was quite a bit of opposition to the Nazis. Seaport level 2. So until August, we'll 5% down in ICs. So we'll get a little bit more money, 0.2% and 0.2% better on resources. That seems reasonable. Because yeah, I guess in theory of any active nation in the war, you know, if it wasn't taking up resources, would be cool to have a human player or nations that might become active, because we don't really need like a Paraguay or Uruguay, but a Spain, Yugoslavia, Hungary, even theoretically a Slovakia, but a Romania, Bulgaria. If Turkey is going to be new, well, see if if you're going to decide to invade Turkey, yeah, but Turkey shouldn't join the war unless somebody invades it. But yeah, I guess I've always thought if I ever had super amount of money, I'd just pay a bunch of people to. Their job would just be to, when I want, they all jump online and play against, play their roles, instead of having all the AI. But I mean, like a super lot amount of money. Just have people that all their job is to play OIF 3 against me, or allied with me, or whatever. Spain, yes, more energy, sure. How's your war doing? Right, you've taken your capital, but they're still got a third of the country. Mobile unit command and control. These texts matter, but they don't matter right now because it doesn't matter my current organization or my current morale for units because they're not in combat. These matter because we're building up, national infrastructure and such. But we may as well push ahead on that a bit earlier. Yeah. And gun ability, twin engine planes. Yeah, we should also be doing some of these. Let's get oil refining first, then rare materials. Problem with historical multiplayer is that it won't be a game only role-playing nation because it's so easy to fix some historical decision and actions to derail historical flow even in 39 ending Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. There would be house rules with anything that I'm thinking of doing. Is you know like the Netherlands and Belgium, of course, won't join anybody's faction unless Germany attacks. Um, Things like that. It would sort of be the war will start the way it'll start with Germany's attack on Poland. I typically like to start it in the spring of 40 instead of the winter of 39. But either way, and this is everything, it does sort of state, and I would, in the discussions on, Discord, discuss the house rules and, are you planning something unhistorical? Talk about it first. Yeah, I know it's sort of supposed to be a surprise attack, but we got to sort of agree upon some basic ground rules, that kind of thing. France are not allowed to attack Germany in September. Well, no, I'd say because they do the Saar offensive. I think in September, they could do that, but it depends if you've got a nicely built up, west wall and a lot of good units there. It'd probably be counterproductive for them to attack. Very willing to have them give a go at it. And something like that, if you played up to the start of the war and then they attack and we go, oh, that's a bad idea, we can go back to an earlier save. Early enough before they start all this stuff and lose a lot. Take a lot of losses or whatever. So I'm willing to, that's part of the curiosity is for me. Oh, we wanted to do more industry here. We don't need steel production. We don't need to push early on steel production or coal production. We're still going to do that, but in a more time, and not pushing in soon. Advance fast. I'm mumbling. I know. Okay, we want to do more agriculture, which will increase our manpower. It would be a fun experiment to go what's going on if the Allies wanted to attack. Now, not through Belgium or through Luxembourg. It's only going to be along through along their shared border. Well, I like the term. It's semi-historical. It's not meant to be historical. It's meant to be semi-historical. And if the Allies wanted to do Britain and France wanted to do that, that would be interesting. Now, remember, it would be with TRE, so there, as well as GGA, so you would have a lot of SA units. They're not very good, but there's a lot of them. And there would also be the Werecrest system that GGA adds, which would be a lot of home army units, as well as the Ersatz army units that Third Reich Events adds. So there's a lot of other units that Germany has that normally aren't in the game. So I don't know how smart it would be for them to try to push early on. That I believe is one of these somewhere. Here. Stop that. Okay. Hey, Beam Slam. Yeah, this is with TRE, Third Reich Events. I say it like I expect everybody to know what I'm talking about. Yes. So this is 37 with Third Reich Events. And it has both the Ritter essay, the cavalry, as well as the standard essay. Absolutely, it is. Great purges, yes, medium popularity. We've lost our low. Okay, good. So that's good for us. And somebody still. Let's hope it was a soon-to-be allied nation that stole our blueprints. So let's pause this. Yeah, there is a lot of industry down here, for sure, including in Sarbuck in here. But with TRE, you'll have the chance to build up a fairly decent west wall. We would give them money for crude oil. Okay, well, before we do that, let's see if we can. Soviet Union, they need supplies, so let's see if we can sell them a bunch of supplies. Let's see if that they accept it. Okay, now I can afford it. Not a lot, but some. Well, in Freeman's birth, you can play Black Ice. Let's hit the save button just to be on the safe side. I don't know that. Now, of course, if we have a France player, that becomes more interesting. But if we're just talking about the 6 people that I'm talking about playing with, you'd only have a British player, and I don't think Britain can push into Germany effectively, and France isn't going to help much. So I don't. The West Wall is reasonably formidable. It may not be as effective as the Maginot Line, but it's a pretty big thing. So yeah, if there was a France player. Now, also understand my understanding is, and I've talked to the current Black Ice crew, they agreed 100% with me that these French units, and I don't know exactly all the modifiers they have, but these French units, some of them are pretty good, but once they shatter, or they have a really bad time trying to regain organization. So their organization regain rate is really, really bad, my understanding. I haven't gone and looked at all the code, because they agreed with me as the way to make France historical is to have good units, with the proper, artillery and reconnaissance and all of that, and give them decent stats, but make them, once they're defeated, really hard to get back playing again, because because there's what's in the game, regain rates, and organization regain rate is just make that really bad for France. So basically, once the unit loses its organization, it's done. Especially if you're Germany and you're pushing on the offensive. So if you can keep pushing on the offensive, once you break that French unit, it might be able to retreat fast enough, depending on what unit it is and what's attacking it. So if it's armored units attacking infantry units, once they attack, the armor will overrun the infantry just because speed. But say if it's infantry attacking the armor, the French army would be able to keep retreating in time, but never get to where it's properly organized up to give a proper defense again. Well, on the offense, it may be not quite as bad as that, but if it goes in and loses half of its organization in one battle, and even if it wins, it's either going to have to sit there for a long time to regain its organization to be able to go on the offensive again, or it's going to go on the offensive with only half of its organization, and it's going to lose that. And so that will simulate the reality of France, in that they're not very flexible of a force. And so, and of course, the question comes down to is that once Poland is defeated, Germany's going to be able to react with its army very quickly. I don't know. Yes, Deutsche Kraftkart, NSKK magazine. Not going on all the details. I've talked about them in other playthroughs, and I will likely someday when I'm playing in more detail talk about some of the stuff a bit more. Okay, more supply production. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. It would be an interesting test. That's why I want to do this. I'd love to have a French player. Oh, why we paused because we also had another thing pop up. I didn't realize. Okay, fighter bomber prototype increased. Oh, what's that one? Oh, what? Wasn't paying. I thought that was an event. Wasn't paying close enough attention. Talking too much. Get to the right thing. Okay, fighter bomber prototype. Stop that. We're now at 38. I don't know. Let's keep looking at industry here in the nation building. Broadcasting. Okay, Hindenburg disaster. Spies, it must be spies. Forward work AG, increase foreign investment or too much. We can not do it, but we're going to do this until May 16th, so 10 days, 6%. See, that's some of this is a TRE one. It's fairly heavy, 6%, but it's just for 10 days of a cost for basically an industry. One more in Cologne. Mercedes-Benz, do we want to have staff cars and get another industry or not? Yes. I love these big things. Well, if you had a human player playing Poland, that would affect that. The AI, no, so. And especially if the Soviets are coming from the other side. Small warship screws and rudders. No, I totally. Okay. Um, which one is this? Small. Oh, screws and rudders down here. Okay, there it is. We'll cancel that. We can do this. But I would like to try these. We'll see how it goes once and if I get everything set up. 4-engine. Here. Okay. It may be a problem. It may not. I don't know. I'd love to try it. Yep, just more supply production. Demonstration of the Ritter SA. Some of these, because it's only hitting you by 400 supplies, but a lot of that activity. Hello, Paul. Good to have you here live. Well, good to know that you would like to watch it. And yeah, I think semi-historical is the key term. And I guess to some degree, because it'd be me setting up, it's what do I think is historically plausible. The U.S. wasn't, because I know some players like, oh, well, I justify and get a war with, Colombia or Venezuela or whatever. Yeah, not as the U.S. No, they wouldn't have done that. It's got to be things that are historically plausible, but they don't need to follow completely the historical script. Twin engine fighter prototype. At least that's my view of it. don't have to do the torch landings. I don't, comes in. You could, my thoughts would be, if you're able in the game and you decide, well, I'm not going to do torch, I'm going to invade Sardinia, or I'm going to go straight to Sicily, or hey, I'm going to land in Vichy France down here. That kind of stuff would be something that I would find really interesting. Would have been defeated earlier if they did a serious attack into Germany in 39. They didn't have the offensive capacity and will for the... Yes. Beam slam, I agree. They did not have... The will for the task, I think, is the biggest thing. Because the distances are so short, I think they were logistically capable of going on the offensive, not like into the scale of the Soviet Union or something. I think their command and control was bigger than theoretical offensive capacity, as the idea of infantry attacking, artillery attacking, tanks attacking. I think they had all that well enough, and we can sort of kind of see that in their advance into Belgium. Now I know that was into friendly territory, but we can see that kind of, yes, they had that capacity, but it's their will to do it, one, and two, their command and control to be able to deal with the realities of a shifting and changing battlefield that is they just didn't have the ability to do that. I see that as being their weaker thing. At least that's how I read the situation. Wouldn't be any forces big enough to beat France, then all forces were fighting in Poland, and Stalin was waiting for a reaction of the West. Well, Stalin didn't wait long for the invasion of Poland. Polish troops moved into Romania after. Yes, there fairly largest numbers did make it to Romania. And a lot infiltrated out. Some made it up through Lithuania. Yeah. But even after that, there was only 2 Polish divisions that they were able to form in France after that. Only 2 divisions. One of them ends up being interred in Switzerland for the rest of the war, because once France is falling, they retreat into Switzerland, and the other one retreats to Britain. I have some photos of what looks to be British troops riding around in the French UE tractors, the little armored tractor things that they had. Well, those were Polish troops that had been evacuated, and they evacuated the tractors. They were able to get them out, get out their equipment with them, but they had swapped over from French helmets and uniforms to British helmets and uniforms, but still were using some of their French heavier equipment for a while up in Scotland for training. So they only really got out, but also realize those 2 divisions of manpower also includes other Polish males that got out some other way, or were in exile, civilians or former military or whatever. So yeah, you say, yeah, there were a bunch of troops that did make it out through Romania, and some through Hungary, but more through Romania. Romania was still trying to be friendly allies. But overall in scale, it's not that much. Really. I mean, it sounds like a lot, I don't know the numbers, 20,000 or something. Yeah, okay, that's like 2 divisions worth. Oh, well, we're still playing Hoi 3, but we switched campaigns. Okay, the seaplane base up here. So if you do that, you'll get more bases, more air bases here, basically, and some. So we will spend the supplies, rare materials. That's a photo of it. Trevimunde. I butcher these unless I've heard them. Well, this is one thing that most war games, because of abuse, don't do well. There was the whole home army of Germany, the Einsatzheer, the sort of fake army, or whatever you want, however you want to translate that. That was pretty damn large. Now and I had some help. That's why I say we've added a bunch of that with TRE that existed. I don't know quite the percentage of it, but we've added a bunch in. Now you can go use those units on the front line because they're units, or you can leave them at home. And of course we have the SA, which was a paramilitary formation, but definitely part of the militia defending Germany, if you will. And so then GGA, Revolverheld's mod, he adds the Wehrkrest system, which has a lot of home garrisons for units or training elements that would have were formed up, would have been put into the field for defense. I don't know that it would have been terribly as easy to overrun as people think. And that's we can talk about French mentally weren't ready to do it, and that mentally that's from the common soldier to the high command of the military to the political leadership, all of that. They weren't mentally ready to go on the offensive. They learned how to fight World War I. They became the great expert on fighting World War I. They wanted to refight World War I. And also remember, it is, I say that because in a technical sense, it's very true. They have, their tanks spread out, their tanks, and they use World War I style tanks, two-man FT-17s, or, well, you type, modernized to the R-35 and the H-35, the Hotchkiss and the Renault little two-man tanks, or they have some of the big Char-B type things, sort of, from the bigger tanks of World War I. They have these two types of tanks, and they've got machine guns, and they're much better than those those crappy shows, but they got all of that. But also, so technically they have super World War I equipment. Now they're fighting World War II, which is a different war, but they got super World War I equipment. But you also have to remember the other thing, that's history is key to understanding a lot of this, at least in my opinion. And you look at the history. Okay, you got Napoleon, but since Napoleon and before, you have France moving into, this region here. Belgium, Netherlands, Rhineland, heading this sort of region. All kinds of campaigns with, whether they're fighting the Dutch or they're fighting the Prussians or fighting the Austrians or whoever they were fighting in this part of territory. And you have Napoleon moving around and doing all this stuff. But since Napoleon was done, and you also have to remember the two endings of Napoleon, both have Paris occupied. Okay, first the Allies come in and defeat Napoleon. Napoleon goes into exile to Elba. I think this is Elba. One of these islands down here would be it if this isn't it. It isn't specifically on the map here, but goes down to Elba. And then he comes back for the 100 Days campaign, and the Allies again invade and occupy Paris. Okay. So twice now that they've lost, and then the first time the Allies came up and occupied Toulouse, coming in from Spain. But the second two times from that. Okay, you have that, two occupations of Paris coming in there. And then you have the Franco-Prussian War, which again is a defensive war for France. France loses that war. France tries to do a lot better in World War I, almost loses, would have lost had it not been for the British. Because, yeah, the miracle on the Marne and using the taxi cabs and other trucks and buses to get the troops, yeah, that's all true. But that's just for the moment that stabilizes the front. Had the British not been there, the Germans would have pushed into Paris again. So, so you have in the 19th and early 20th century defensive wars against Germany. This has trained France to be defensive against Germany. And so they have this whole defensive mindset, excuse me. Okay. And so with all of that, they're not, it's not that, they do the Saar offensive. It's not that they can't, and they do lots of offensives during World War One. But they don't have the mindset to mobilize and attack and push into Germany. That is the cripplingest thing. And what reinforces this, of course, is building the Maginot Line, which just reinforces this defensive thinking. And so all that comes down to why just France is just incapable of attacking Germany on any big dynamic path. It just really is. And Czechoslovakia and Poland do not understand this. They fundamentally do not understand this. Romania does not understand this. Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Romania do not understand this. I think it's, I forget, maybe it's in 37 or 38. There's events for it in Third Reich events. I don't remember these. Even though I make them on, I don't remember these things. I'm just sitting here. Romania goes on a big diplomatic offensive to try to get an alliance with either France and or Britain. I mean, it can be either one or preferably both. They both rightfully turn them down. Now, at this time, they're not worrying about Germany. They're worrying about Russia, or the Soviets. Both of these nations realize that their people are not going to want to go to war to defend Romania from the Soviets, from the Bolsheviks. So they turn Romania down. Well, Romania doesn't, at this moment, understand that France is in no way mentally going to put in forces to defend Romania from the Bolsheviks. France might send lots of shipments of arms, like it did in World War One, but it's not going to send troops of any meaningful amount. Oh, there might be some foreign legions and some elite armor unit or something like that, theoretically might be sent, but not to change the outcome of a war here. Oh, France suffered huge amounts in World War One. That's very true. And that's all coming into this mindset. So Romania still is like, oh, we could have a good, strong alliance and they'll help us out. Nope. Czechoslovakia is like, well, hey, a Franco-Czech alliance, keep Germany in check. Yes, I used the Czech there. Now the flank gets turned with Austria, but they're still thinking that, yeah, France will go to war and help. What? No, France is not mentally set up to come, go on offensive war. Oh, they will, close the border, stop trade with Germany. Maybe if they see a German soldier across the border, shoot their rifle or their artillery piece at him. But almost in theory, if Germany were to pull out of artillery range, the French are just going to sit in their fortress and go, yeah, we're at war with those Nazis over there somewhere, pointing out over there. That's all the French are going to do. That's all the French are going to do. They're relying upon the whole reason Daladier does not, or how do I say this, does not come to Czechoslovakia's aid during the Munich conference is because Britain, under Chamberlain, realizes, hey, we're in no shape to fight Germany right now. We got to start arming. Immediately after the Munich conference, he goes home and with his, peace for our time, not in our time, but for our time now, basically for our time to prepare for war. And he immediately goes and starts rearming Britain in a serious way. Now, they could have done more, absolutely. How much more, I don't know in a practical sense, politically at that time. But I'm sure they could have done more, but I don't know how much or if it was materially more, but because you can always do a little more. And so what France is relying upon to defend Czechoslovakia, and Daladier is willing to go in 1938, willing to go to war with Germany, if Britain is also at war, because what they're relying upon is the British fleet to sit out here and go, no trade for you, and they're going to go, yeah, we're not trading here, and maybe sort of blockade, do minimum imports so there's no real trade through here, and just sit there. Because France is not planning on, in 1938 and whatever, is not planning on marching troops to Berlin. They're just going to sit behind their wall and be at war. They're relying upon Britain to be the active member of the alliance, and when Britain doesn't want to participate in it, Daladier's, well, if Britain isn't doing it, I ain't going into this. So that's why Czechoslovakia gets betrayed, because Czechoslovakia doesn't understand that France is unwilling to go on a serious offensive. And then Poland is the same thing. Now, Poland, of course, wants this little bit of land and is like, yeah, take the Sudeten land. We also want our bit here. And Romania can have, or Hungary, I should say, can have their bit here. And yeah. Oh, oops. You mean we just... Our one real possible ally here, well, one of two, Romania would be the other one. We just weakened our ally instead of like going, yep, we should go to war. So, but then Poland goes into their alliance with France and Britain, thinking it's going to somehow save them. This is not a question. Danzig ist Deutsch. The free city of Danzig is entirely controlled basically by the Germans. I say entirely and basically. Yeah, there are a few Polish troops. The postal system and a couple of other things are run by Poles. But the city is run by Germans. The SS is there in strong numbers. The SA is there in strong numbers. In any moment, in any hour of the day, Hitler could have made a phone call and says, hey, Danzig, uprise, join Germany, and it would have been done in a few hours and over. It's not over Danzig. It's over the Danzig corridor. Okay. What should Poland have done? Well, Poland's fucked just about any way it's going to do it. Poland should have given in on the demands for the Danzig corridor. Now, would that have saved Poland? No. But it's not defensible. This whole area here, this forward defense is not, having all these troops up here is not defensible. Should have just evacuated it. That's what they should have done. But still the war would have come. But maybe 6 months later. In 6 months, you can do a lot of preparation, including getting the Western Allies better off. What's been slaying and interesting speculate the situation where France were prepared to go to offensive. Yeah, thanks to Chamberlain, we got World War II. Germans were not ready for it. Yeah, nobody was ready for it in 1938. That's quite true. All Czech and Poland's fault. I'm sick of this. Danzig Corridor is only a mirage ruse, not the real reason. Oh, absolutely. It's not the real reason. Hitler wants a war, but Hitler wants a small training war. He does not want a war with Britain or France. because Britain and France backed down over Czechoslovakia, he thinks they're going to back down over Poland. He's mistaken about Poland. As I always say, warfare is a political act. Have to understand the war within the politics and diplomacy, but diplomacy is just a type of politics of the time. So, yeah, it's not Poles or Czechs' faults. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they were relying upon the idea that France was going to be, a good partner to go to war with. I'm just trying to envision in my mind a scenario that these Central or these Eastern European countries would have somehow survived. I don't know. Invasion Department on Marine Celestes. Yeah, timeline. You're absolutely right. Pulling from the west, the sea. Hello, Sebastian. You're absolutely right. But my answer would be so. What are they getting? What are they? And maybe somebody can inform me. What are they getting through that sea lanes? Now, it was the only way was the West to attack, hoping for Stalin to be insecure and waiting and see if it would help. Yeah, well, see, if you don't have the Soviets as a problem, Stalin, the Soviets, however you want to say it, then there's a way. But with the Soviets, I can't see it. Because in peacetime, now one of the proposals that Germany made, and Poland could have said yes to it. Now, Germany did not want them to say yes. Like I say, they want a training war. They just want a plausible excuse for a training war. But one of the proposals was to give enough of the corridor to Germany, but Germany was going to let them keep Gdynia and allow them to have a rail route through cross German territory. But you can run your trains, guys. We won't interfere with your trains running. And so during peacetime, it would flow. But even if it's because at war, once you're at war, Germany controls the Baltic for all intents and purposes. Even if you have this here. And 3 or 4 submarines and the 3 destroyers that Poland has, that's nothing of a navy. That's almost why even have it, quite honestly. Quite honestly, I don't know why you even have a Polish navy. Yeah, it looks good for propaganda, but what realistic? Oh, they're going to go to war with Lithuania and be able to blockade Lithuania while the Poles march up through here. Or, they're going to go to war with, I don't know, China and send some ships to China. Or go to war with Uruguay. Yes. Uruguay pisses them off for some reason and they go to war with Uruguay. What are those little destroyers going to do? What's the purpose? To guard the coast from the invasion of Sweden? Or the invasion of Estonia. Estonia might have invaded. I mean, what's the point of a Polish navy, quite honestly? I don't see that. So, now, up until I think 38, Czechoslovakia does have ports. They have one here in Bremerhaven, I believe. They have one up in Stettin. No, maybe it's no, it's not Bremen. It's Hamburg. They have one in Hamburg. They have a port in Hamburg, and they have a port in Stettin. And they actually literally have ports there that are extraterritoriality. They have a little Polish port flying a little Polish flag, and for here, barges can go up the river. Germany cannot look inside the barges, and they come into Czech territory, and they can take goods back and forth to the port and load on ships. And I think it's trains, but maybe, no, I don't know if they're coming barges. I think it's trains up to Stettin, and they can load whatever they want in the trains. The trains have to be run along German railway tracks, going to the port and unload. Can move anything they want. Germany can't look inside them, can't stop them. It isn't until Germany, I think it's in 38, takes over and stops that. That's all part of the greater set of treaties of Versailles, whether it's the actual Versailles Treaty or some of the other later ones that were all, all within that framework. That gives Czechoslovakia a couple of ports. And I think there was one other port somewhere it gave them on the German coast. Again, wouldn't matter a minute after they go to war with Germany, but until then, it's still... The 4 U-boats were a threat to German ships. They had to be neutralized. But with this assumption, why do you need a navy? Everybody can disband navies. Yeah, but why build a navy? Well, okay, we're looking at this time period. Why would Sweden have a navy? Well, let's look at this. You have the Soviet Union sitting over here. You have a land connection here that is, during winter, I believe, impassable for armies to move. So the only way the Soviets are going to be able to invade is across here, across the Baltic Sea. The only way the Germans are going to be able to invade is 2 ways. Well, yeah, I guess theoretically you could do airborne invasion too from Finland if you take Finland. So, yeah, but airborne isn't that big of an invasion. And again, airborne isn't that big of an invasion. So the only way you're going to get into Sweden is through the ocean, or through, well, seas. Oceans are out here, but yeah, seas. So if you have enough of a navy, you're defending yourself. That doesn't mean your navy won't be able to be sunk, but it serves a purpose. Because what I'm saying is the Navy isn't here. The Navy can't keep your supply lines open. Can't really go out. I mean, sure, the submarines, which they basically all flee to Britain, but sure, the submarines can go out and try to sink some German ships, and it would be bad luck for the Germans if they do, and it's sort of like, yeah, we lost some ships, whether they're naval ships or transport ships. But yeah, but no, unless you're coming through Norway or coming through here, you have to go through the sea basically to successfully, because in the 1930s, air invasion, airborne paratroopers isn't that big of a thing. It becomes more and more, but still, it's not that big of a thing. You can do commando raids, you can do small landings, a division or 2 divisions by air or something, but 2 divisions isn't going to take Sweden, not if they're halfway prepared. So you've got to come through the ocean. It makes sense to have a navy. Can you build a navy big enough to stop the German navy for Sweden? Maybe. Depends on how big the German navy is. Denmark. Here we go, Denmark. Well, Denmark is islands, and their capital is on an island. A navy can help there. A navy, now are they going to build a big enough navy? Not terribly big, but you know what? Denmark still owns out here, so it needs a navy to protect Iceland, or to keep Iceland from revolting. So if somebody were to smuggle in a bunch of rifles into Iceland, and the local Icelanders were going to revolt, the Danes need a navy to go out there to go land some troops and do offshore bombardments to get your troops ashore. They need a navy to control Iceland. You need a navy for that. Poland does not have any overseas colonies. The Netherlands, the Dutch, they still got all this out here. They need a navy. They got all these islands out here. You mean, they have islands. They have islands out here. They need a navy out here, even if it's not to protect the Netherlands from Germany or from Belgium. It's to protect their overseas possessions. Also, why does Sweden need a navy? Well, they got ships sailing all over the world. Norway has ships sailing all over the world, more so, I think, than Sweden, but I'm not sure on the numbers in comparison. How many Polish freighters are there sailing around? Around the world. How many? I don't know, but probably not very many. And I did think about commerce protection, if Lithuania was to go to war with Poland or something, and they're trying to grab Polish ships or something, that might be a thing, but that's hardly a thing. So I'm really looking at Poland as, if I'm going to spend defense dollars or whatever their thing, do I build ships or buy ships? No, I buy artillery pieces or ammunition or machine guns or aircraft. I don't build ships. I don't put money into a training center for Polish naval officers, for Polish sea recruits. That just seems ridiculous to me. To me, it does. In these, we're talking about these conditions here. It just seems ridiculous. And that's sort of the way. Again, maybe Sweden was going to go to war with Finland, and Sweden wants to invade Finland because, it needs a navy. Was Poland thinking about maybe they were going to invade Finland? I don't know. Poland was actively building large. Okay, well, if they were building, I don't know the Polish merchant marine size. I don't ever remember seeing any in any of the propaganda movies of World War II, the Hollywood and other things, any Polish ships being mentioned, merchant vessels. I didn't think they didn't exist. I just don't know how many, and if it's worthy of doing. Isn't still on the army of land. Yes, Sebastian. Well, didn't we just discuss Romania? A lot of troops, Polish troops. I thought, and Poland gets their gold out through Romania. I thought their supply lines could go through Romania or Yugoslavia and then through Romania. There's other ways out there. Okay, we would give them metal for money, sure. 4-engine bomber crew layout. Here we go. Infiltration tactics. I think those are for one of these. Let's be over here. Okay, here, 1930. Yeah, we'll keep that going. And stormtrooper tactics will also keep going. Oh yeah, well, I'm just not familiar with Polish Navy or Polish Merchant Marine. I'm not saying they didn't exist, and maybe they're bigger than I think, and maybe there's reason to have a Polish Navy. A large merchant marine is a reason to have a navy, because if some nation, I don't know, El Salvador, decides to go, oh, we're going to confiscate these 3 Polish ships that are in our port, you may want a navy to steam over there and go, hey, give our ships back, or we're going to not let any ships come in and out of your later. in and out of your ports or something. So maybe there is enough reason, but still, I don't think any reason you can give would be enough to counterweight that there would be better. I'm not seeing any things that it would be better to just build more artillery pieces and aircraft and other things. More pride of nation, shall we say, than it is of, okay, we're going to come over here and do this. More pride of nation to have a Polish Navy. Because they're just, surrounded by enemies. Problem there was lands and activity implementing them, but the war stopped everything. Yeah, I understand. The war stopped everything. Okay, let's save this. Okay, guys, I think we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you so much for watching. I really, Lorgius, Plusquil, I don't know. I'm sure I'm butchering that. Don't mean to, but I'm sure I am. Thank you for your input on Poland. I really do appreciate that. And if you're sort of new here, you can, of course, hit the follow or subscribe button, depending YouTube or Twitch. And do appreciate that. Hit the like button. And like I say, post comments below. See you all next time for even more, more Hearts of Iron. And yeah, I think I'm going to be ending this stream here very shortly here, but the point of having a Navy, for example, other countries won't stop your ships. And yeah, absolutely, if you have enough of that. Lord Guinness, although trained in Poland, they significantly strengthened the English fleet, as well as pilots. Yeah. Well, pilots are another matter. Air control of your airspace is an entirely different matter than Navy. Yeah, and I think the Poles that basically served in the British fleet, more or less, once they get over there, I think they do a good job. Yeah, I think they were useful. Now, they weren't hardly enough to matter. I mean, they're just a few ships compared to, the greater Royal Navy, but it's still nice and useful, and they did a good job for everything that I heard, especially some of the destroyer that snuck out and things. Yeah, they, some really good sailors. I'm not knocking them as a skill. I'm just going, I'd just rather have more artillery pieces or anti-tank guns or whatever it might be. With surveillance, it's casus belli. Yeah, I hear you, but that doesn't mean they need destroyers. I'm not saying a coastal patrol, a coast guard, a minesweeping element. That's a different matter. A few guys in boats, big boats, but boats, that's all you need really for this. Stop smugglers, go after ships that are disabled or, sinking to help out, sort of like the American Coast Guard, something like that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have. And yeah, you have some guns on the vessels, like I say, if there's smugglers or something you need to do. And maybe there was enough overseas trade, not just trade locally in the Baltic, but enough seas other places that they need defenses. Maybe. That could be. Just don't know of it. Okay, thank you all. Tomorrow is War Thunder Day, so if you want to come back and join me, either watching or playing, like Niagara, I hope, and Arno and others. See, for example, the transports of Hurricanes from GB were stopped and redirected to Romania when they never reached Poland. Yeah, that's quite true. So, yeah, be back, and I'll, of course, be back next Saturday for more Hearts of Iron. Not sure whether it's this series, the other series, or something new, Hearts of Iron-ish, but Hearts of Iron next Saturday, we'll be back. So thanks, everyone. Have a good day, evening, whatever it is where you are.